Ryan?
Yep.
You want to take a break?
From Blake? Sure.
No.
It's not every day a guy gets to interview the love interest of his best friend's wife, and the guy trying to replace Ryan as a husband, and me as his best mate.
Holy shit.
If you haven't caught the latest shockwave out of Tinseltown, don't worry. We've got you covered. Rumor has it, Ryan Reynolds just got axed by Marvel. Yep, you heard that right. The internet's basically on fire right now over whispers that Marvel and Disney might have officially kicked Ryan to the curb. One minute he's hyping up Deadpool and Wolverine with his signature over-the-top marketing and that cheeky sarcasm we all love. And the next, he's smack dab in the middle of a full-blown Hollywood meltdown. Sources say the Mouse House and Marvel have cut ties, possibly for good. Now, Ryan and Disney have always had a bit of a hot and cold thing going on. Let's be real. Deadpool's R-rated chaos doesn't exactly fit Disney's squeaky clean, family-friendly fairy tale. But this time, this ain't about a few naughty jokes or breaking the fourth wall too much. This drama, it cuts way deeper. Insiders are saying this isn't just on-set chaos. Ryan was allegedly stirring things up off-screen too. Word is he may have stepped on the toes of some major Hollywood power players. And caught in the crossfire, none other than Justin Baldoni. Yep, that Justin Baldoni, the actor/director who's currently tangled in a messy, headline-grabbing legal battle with none other than Blake Lively, Ryan's wife. So, what happens when one of Marvel's top stars starts blurring the lines between personal drama and blockbuster business? Apparently, the studio doesn't take that lightly. If the reports are true, they might have hit Ryan with such a hard no that his days in the MCU are officially over. And as soon as this rumor hit social media, boom, the internet exploded. Fans are divided. Half of them flat out refuse to believe it. Because let's face it, Ryan is Deadpool. Why would Marvel throw away one of its most bankable icons over some behind-the-scenes tea? Or could it really be the end of his run as the Merc with a mouth? Not everyone's buying it, but let's be real here. Disney and Marvel, they have no problem dropping A-listers when things go sideways. Need a reminder? Jonathan Majors, anyone? And now, with Ryan stuck in this chaotic vortex of drama between Baldoni, Blake, and It Ends With Us, fans are starting to wonder, did he finally push Marvel too far? Oh, but it gets even messier. Enter Hugh Jackman, Ryan's bestie, co-star, and professional roast partner. And now? He's caught in the middle of this flaming PR nightmare. Fans want to know, is Hugh standing by Ryan's side? Is he keeping his distance? Does he even know how deep this drama really goes? And the million-dollar question, is Ryan Reynolds actually done with the MCU for good? Now let's rewind for a sec. If you've even glanced at the internet lately, you've probably seen the drama bomb that is Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. This lawsuit is so wild, it's got all of Hollywood holding its breath. Blake's out here going full force, accusing Baldoni of being a manipulative, power-obsessed director who created a toxic set on It Ends With Us. The accusations, heavy. The industry, shook. But here's the catch. There's no solid proof backing up her claims. And Baldoni's team, they're not backing down. They came out swinging, calling out major holes in Blake's story and even proving some claims, like the whole intimacy coordinator scandal, were totally made up. So now the question is, did Ryan Reynolds just become a pawn in a brutal Hollywood power war between his wife and one of the industry's most controversial directors? Let's not forget, Blake Lively is a major force in the entertainment world, but launching a full-scale media crusade against someone like Justin Baldoni? That's a whole other level. Sure, she's an A-lister, and yeah, being besties with Taylor Swift doesn't hurt. But does she really have the pull to drag outlets like the New York Times into this? According to multiple industry whispers, Ryan wasn't just sitting on the sidelines backing his wife. He was allegedly calling the shots, masterminding a covert takedown of Justin Baldoni while keeping his own reputation spotless. And no, this isn't just some wild Reddit rabbit hole. Baldoni's legal team says they've got the receipts. Court filings suggest Baldoni's camp firmly believes Ryan didn't just support Blake's legal moves, he helped hijack it.
Reynolds approached a senior executive at WME and expressed his deep disdain for Baldoni, going as far as to suggest that the agency is working with a sexual predator. I'll agree that the moral crimes committed here by Ryan Reynolds against Justin Baldoni have amounted to
ends. With us, from behind the scenes, allegedly playing a major role in getting Baldoni pushed out of his own project and then blacklisted by the very agency that once repped them both. And here's where the story takes a cold, dark turn. Ryan Reynolds allegedly used his sway with WME, the powerhouse talent agency that reps both him and Baldoni, to pressure them into dropping Baldoni, despite no concrete proof of misconduct. No official charges, no internal complaints, just whispers from one of the industry's most beloved A-listers. That's it, and let's not forget, Ryan's PR machine has always been tight. He's got a whole squad on speed dial to scrub up his image the second anything gets messy. On the outside, he's the charming class clown, cracking jokes and winning hearts. But behind the scenes, the power plays he's accused of are straight-up savage. As Candace once said in an episode, guys who build their whole brand around being the chill, lovable dude, 9 times out of 10, they're hiding a whole other side. And let's face it, people love Deadpool. Kids, adults, die-hard Marvel stans, he's got a fan base that spans every age group. But now, the guy who made us laugh till we cried is being accused of torching another man's career under the guise of defending his wife. But let's ask the real question. Is this actually about Blake? Or was Ryan using the drama to run his own game? Because Blake's lawsuit didn't just go after Baldoni for toxic behavior on set. She claimed he was running a full-blown smear campaign against her, that he tried to silence her, block her from speaking out. But here's the twist. That alleged campaign apparently kicked off right after Blake started catching flack during the movie's press tour. TikTok was brutal. Fans dragged her for stiff body language, forced smiles, awkward interviews, and pushing her brand too hard. People weren't buying it, and instead of letting Blake clear the air herself, insiders say Ryan went full scorched earth mode. His solution? Allegedly trying to force Baldoni and Wayfarer Studios into issuing a public apology for Blake's bad press. Yes, you heard that right. He allegedly wanted them to publicly take the fall for something they didn't do. Let that sink in. Like, why not just go live, address the criticism, and keep it real with fans? A little vulnerability could have gone a long way, but no, this is Hollywood. And behind every celebrity there's a PR war room full of people spinning reality like a roulette wheel. And Baldoni, he said no, flat out refused to read the fake apology statement Ryan allegedly drafted. He wasn't about to lie to protect someone else's image. And what did he get in return? A lawsuit. This is where you see just how brutal Hollywood politics really are. All it takes is a few planted stories, a few strategic leaks, and boom. Suddenly, everyone believes the rewritten version. That's the power of a clean-cut image and a well-oiled PR machine. And if you think this is just one of those once-in-a-blue-moon celebrity scandals, think again. According to Baldoni's legal crew, this kind of narrative control is standard in the entertainment industry. They claim Ryan wasn't just standing behind Blake, he was front and center, driving the narrative, using his Marvel clout to turn Baldoni into a Hollywood punchline. And how exactly did he do it? By turning Deadpool into a weapon. Now imagine this. You're Marvel Studios. You've spent over a decade building a bulletproof cinematic universe, carefully avoiding personal drama that could derail the brand. Then suddenly, one of your biggest stars is allegedly using his blockbuster to drag a real-world feud into the spotlight. Messi doesn't even begin to cover it, and then comes the tipping point. Because Blake, she actually said it publicly. On record, she credited Ryan for helping rewrite parts of It Ends With Us. Boom. That was the moment Marvel went from concerned to furious. Suddenly, it wasn't just bad press, it was proof. Proof that one of their lead actors was deep in a legal mess that had nothing to do with Marvel and was dragging their billion-dollar franchise through the mud. But wait, it gets wilder. According to Baldoni's camp, Ryan didn't just want to take legal action. He wanted to take a victory lap, on screen, in Deadpool and Wolverine. They say Ryan included scenes that blatantly mocked Baldoni. Scenes so on the nose that once you know the backstory, you'll never unsee them. Casual. Fans might not think twice, but if you're in the loop, it's way too obvious. Let's talk about Nicepool, a Deadpool variant played by Ryan himself. At first, just another weird, wacky multiverse moment. But then you look closer. The man bun, the preachy attitude, the non-stop moral superiority. Sound familiar? That's been Baldoni's whole aesthetic, especially during his TED Talk era, when he was speaking on gender roles and challenging toxic masculinity in the industry. And in Deadpool and Wolverine, that same persona gets turned into a joke, a parody, a walking punchline. Justin Baldoni's name has been buzzing in recent years, and not in the way he'd probably hope. And oh no, the jabs don't stop there. Because if you really tune into the dialogue in Deadpool and Wolverine, things get shockingly specific. There's one moment in particular, a very pointed conversation about Lady Poole. And let's be honest, if that's not a direct wink at Blake Lively, we don't know what is. But when you line it up with what's in the lawsuit, the shade becomes crystal clear. Blake publicly accused Baldoni of body-shaming her on set, specifically asking their shared fitness trainer for details about her weight. That allegedly set Ryan off, big time. So much so that he didn't just confront Baldoni privately, he reportedly called him out in front of others. And now, that exact moment appears to be immortalized in Deadpool's newest adventure. Coincidence? Please. There's a line in the film, either Deadpool or his variant Nicepool, shouting, "Where in God's name is the intimacy coordinator?" Ring a bell? It should. That's exactly what Blake cited in her lawsuit, claiming Baldoni ignored standard on-set intimacy protocols. And now here's Ryan, flipping it into a punchline inside a billion-dollar movie watched by millions. It's not just messy, it's strategic. And if this really was Ryan's personal roast session, he didn't stop with the one-liners. Enter Dogpool. Yep, a literal dog in the Deadpool multiverse. At first glance, cute comic relief. But zoom in and, according to Baldoni's legal team, Dogpool isn't just a gag. It's an insult. A not-so-subtle way of portraying Baldoni as a lapdog. A pushover. A so-called nice guy who, when things get tough, never actually stands for anything. The symbolism? Layered. Intentional. Brutal. First layer. Baldoni is all bark, no bite. That's the easy one. But the deeper burn? At one point, Deadpool drops a heavy line, now pause. Let that marinate. Because if you connect the dots, Ryan waging war for Blake, throwing punches in the press and in the courtroom, what if this wasn't just aimed at Baldoni? What if that line was a sneaky dig at Blake, too? Was Ryan trying to say he's tired of fighting battles that aren't his? Was this his passive-aggressive way of calling her out, too? We may never know what goes on behind those glossy Hollywood gates, but what's clear is this. Ryan Reynolds wasn't just trying to clap back at Baldoni. He was out to bury him. In every possible way. And then there's the gold-plated guns. You two think they're just flashy props? Think again. A growing number of fans and even some film insiders believe they symbolize Baldoni's own film, It Ends With Us. There's even a moment where Deadpool asks nicely for the golden weapon, only to take it anyway. Sound familiar? It mirrors the lawsuit's biggest allegation, that Ryan Reynolds pressured Baldoni to hand over creative control of It Ends With Us, a project he poured his heart into, that he was pushed out, not by accident, but by force. And those glittering, gold guns? They're the cinematic metaphor for that betrayal. Because what happens right after Deadpool gets the weapon? He uses it, loudly, flashily, without hesitation, just like Ryan, allegedly turning Baldoni's own movie into a battlefield, blasting away not just on screen but in the court of public opinion. Deadpool wasn't exactly taking no for an answer. That takedown of Nisul, pretty savage, right? And if you were really paying attention, you'd notice the very first thing Deadpool reached for after that beatdown. Those gold-plated guns. Yeah, do the math. The symbolism is loud and clear. Lot has gone down with Justin Baldon lately, and by his own account it's far from over. Unlike the movie where his not-so-disguised double got literally chopped, Baldon's still out here, alive and fighting for his name. And his legal team? They're not letting this slide. That's where Brian Freridman steps in. The moment, Baldon's. Lawyers caught on to how blatant some of those scenes were. They went straight into action. Freridman fired off a formal legal notice to Disney's top dog Bob Iger and Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige, demanding that they preserve every single document tied to Nispul's creation.
I want to be friends with you. Like, he literally tells Ryan he wants to be friends with you. And I can just see Ryan sitting there like, yes, this is exactly what I want, a puppy to kick in the mouth. He tried to get Justin Baldoni dropped from WME multiple times before they did, okay? So all of those articles that came out when Justin got dropped and they were denying that Ryan Reynolds had anything to do with it, those were PR teams that were working overtime behind the scenes, likely their PR team. Leslie Sloan, it's not true. No, it's never. That is a fact.
Core argument? That Ryan Reynolds leveraged his power and influence to globally shame and harass Baldon. And honestly, he's got a case. Ryan isn't some clueless actor just showing up to say lines. He's an executive producer and a writer on Deadpool and Wolverine. Especially this third time around, he had more control than ever before. And the timing, super sus. All this went down while It Ends With Us was still being filmed. Come on, how do you ignore that? Ryan knew exactly what he was doing. He probably even counted on fans picking up the digs at Baldon eventually. But what he didn't see coming? The whole script turning on him. Maybe he thought it would just be a niche internet moment. A cheeky meme only superfans would catch and chuckle at. Maybe he figured people wouldn't take it that seriously. Well, surprise. It's spiraled way beyond what he can control, and no matter which side you're on in this whole mess, it's hard to deny that Ryan might have pushed it way too far. Because even after mocking Baldon on the global stage through a mega-budget movie, he still made sure Blake went forward with that lawsuit. And get this, Blake Lively's suit against Justin Baldon? It's 163 pages long. Yeah, packed with wild accusations. But according to Baldon's legal team, not a single real piece of evidence to hold them up. And Ryan, instead of distancing himself from the chaos, he turned it into entertainment. For someone hailed as the nicest guy in Hollywood, that's cold. Let's break it down. How exactly did Ryan allegedly drag Baldon? Freridman, Baldon's lawyer, didn't just say Ryan was teasing him. He argued that Ryan sabotaged his own wife's legal case by turning it into a Marvel-sized punchline for the whole world to laugh at. That Ryan was actively sabotaging his own wife's legal battle by spinning the whole scandal into a blockbuster level. Marvel joke? That's not just messy, it's calculated. Let's put the puzzle together. Those feminist one-liners? Directly aimed at Baldon, who's built a reputation as a vocal male feminist and public advocate. The snapping back after pregnancy bit, a clear jab at Blake's accusation that Baldon body-shamed her after giving birth, and the intimacy coordinator gag, a straight-up reference to an accusation Baldon's legal team already shut down with evidence. Freridman didn't mince words. This wasn't a clever coincidence. This was a full-blown public shaming campaign disguised as Marvel comedy. But hold on, this isn't just about Ryan. Blake, she's got her own receipts. Because if you thought Ryan was the only one playing dirty, think again. Blake Lively has her own track record of being, well, petty. Remember how the internet turned on her during the It Ends With Us press run? It wasn't just about what she said about the film. It all started when she made a sly comment in an interview that rubbed people the wrong way. And here's where it gets complicated. The host of that interview, Kirsty, has been open about her battle with infertility. So, when the clip resurfaced, the backlash was swift and brutal. People weren't just disappointed, they were furious. Suddenly, all eyes were on Blake. So now, with all the pieces on the board, the real question is, was this all just a strange Marvel coincidence? Or did Blake and Ryan turn a personal vendetta into a billion-dollar takedown campaign? At the time, Blake was 8 months pregnant, her baby bump on full display. So when Kirsty congratulated her with a light-hearted tone, viewers were stunned by how cold Blake's reaction was. And it didn't. Stop there. Blake got visibly irritated when Kirsty brought up her wardrobe. Fans were quick to catch the shift, and they weren't letting it go, especially because just days before, Blake was glowing in another interview, gushing about her outfits, accessories, and the overall aesthetic she created for her character, Lily. So, what changed? Fans called her out hard, accusing her of being two-faced, and instead of taking accountability, Blake did the unexpected. She turned around and blamed Justin Baldwin. Yep. She straight up claimed Baldwin was behind the entire backlash, that he somehow manipulated Kirsty into posting the viral clip. But Kirsty wasn't staying quiet. She shut it down immediately, making it clear Baldwin had nothing to do with it. Her reason for posting the video? Simple. It was personal. Kirsty said that after watching It Ends With Us, she was reminded of how Blake treated her. The vibe, the tone, the passive-aggressiveness, and in that moment, she felt like people deserved to see the real Blake. Her words? I wanted people to see who Blake really is. And just like that, the internet detonated. This wasn't about a single awkward moment anymore. Now, Blake was under the microscope, and every word, every clip, every past interview was being re-examined. Meanwhile, Ryan was already facing major heat for his so-called humiliation campaign against Baldwin. The chaos? Non-stop. So why didn't Kirsty post the interview sooner? Fear. Fear of backlash. Fear of being canceled. But eventually, she hit her limit. She said, "F it." And boom, the clip dropped. The fallout? Immediate. Friedman, Baldwin's lead attorney, addressed the situation directly. Any idea that Baldwin was involved in Blake's PR mess? Dismissed. His statement? Crystal clear. If anyone's responsible for Blake's bad press, it's Blake herself. And here's where it goes even deeper. According to Friedman, ever since he started working with Baldwin, he's been getting anonymous messages from industry insiders, not just from It Ends With Us, but from other sets Blake's worked on. What were these messages about? Alleged stories of how Blake treated people behind the scenes, what she said, how she behaved. It's wild, right? We thought so too. And now, Marvel couldn't ignore it anymore. They had to step in. But guess what? At first, they didn't care. Marvel's whole brand with Deadpool is edgy, irreverent, offensive. Controversy. Part of the package. They brushed off early complaints thinking it would blow over, but then Baldwin's legal team started whispering about possible lawsuits. And if there's one thing Marvel hates, it's legal drama, especially when it puts one of their biggest moneymakers at risk. According to insiders, Marvel execs weren't thrilled when they found out how personal Ryan's jokes really were. One insider said that the whole creative direction of Deadpool and Wolverine became a major issue. There were fights, arguments about how far they could go with the humor. Sure, Deadpool's always been about pushing boundaries, but this wasn't just shock comedy. This was Ryan turning a Marvel script into a personal revenge letter. And yeah, Nice Pool and Dog Pool made it into the movie. But insiders say Marvel was forced to cut even worse scenes, jokes and references that were just too extreme to make the final cut. So if what we saw in the theater was already that brutal, imagine what didn't make it. Marvel tried to clean up the mess, but by then, it was too late. In interviews, they tried changing the topic, talking about the multiverse instead of digging into character backstories. They made sure to mention that Ryan's creative choices were his own, subtly pulling back from responsibility. But let's be real, nobody bought it. The moment the internet clocked that Nice Pool was a dig at Baldwin, Marvel was getting dragged left and right. And then there was that scene, the skit where Nice, Pool jokes about needing a break from Blake. Yeah, not funny, not cute, not clever. You know what? Hand me your phone. I'm about to write a public statement Justin Baldwin and Wayfair have to read aloud. They didn't like that she was plugging her hair products. They didn't like that she wasn't taking the subject of domestic violence seriously. And then, just when things were heating up, old videos of her started surfacing. Meanwhile, what Ryan Reynolds seems to have done right is use his influence and power, not just to help Blake Lively take over the project, but to make his moves loud and strategic. He's done it with Deadpool, throwing shade at Justin Baldoni, and when you put all of this together, the legal battles, the digs at Baldoni, the chaos behind the scenes, you start to wonder, maybe those rumors about Ryan being secretly frustrated with Blake weren't just rumors after all. Now, legal pressure is officially on. Baldoni's legal team just fired off a warning shot, directly at Marvel. Now the whole industry's watching. What's Marvel going to do? Because now, Hollywood's most uncomfortable question is front and center. Is Ryan Reynolds becoming too big of a risk for Marvel to keep around? Rumors about him being dropped. They've been circling like vultures. And with every new twist, those whispers get louder. The next few weeks, they're about to be explosive. But wait, it gets even pettier. Just when you thought Ryan's alleged grudge against Baldoni couldn't get more out of hand, he took things beyond Deadpool, right into the It Ends With Us promo tour. That's right. This wasn't just some playful teasing in Deadpool 3. Ryan reportedly deliberately mocked Baldoni during a promo skit for the exact movie at the center of this whole mess. And the internet caught on fast, but here's the wildest part. What? Was Ryan's mom doing in a skit for a movie about domestic violence? Yeah, it's crazy, and it gets worse. That entire skit had nothing to do with the movie's core message. Sure, it was meant to be funny, but let's be honest, was it actually funny? Even Candace Owens couldn't believe what she was watching. And here's the real question. Why was Ryan so deeply involved in a film he wasn't even getting paid for? No contract, no profit, no obligation. So, who gave him that kind of control over its marketing? Something's not adding up, and if you thought that was strange, wait till you hear what happened next. This is where things completely blew up. The joke that crossed the line. Now, maybe, just maybe, it was all a misunderstanding. Maybe the joke just flew over our heads. But let's be real. If you need to decode a joke just to find it funny, that's not comedy. That's just weird. If you got the joke, explain it, because we're still scratching our heads. And this was the darkest moment in the entire skit. That's when Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, said, "Enough is enough." First, it was Deadpool. Now, a promo skit for the same movie tied to the lawsuit? Friedman didn't hold back. He went straight for Ryan, calling him out for being tone deaf, and accusing him of turning a serious legal battle into a giant. Punchline, a punchline nobody laughed at. Even after all the drama, he kept quiet. He let Blake steer the story, because he knew one wrong move could destroy the movie's release. Sure, he had money in the project, but in the end, he risked his own Hollywood future to keep things smooth, and love him or hate him, That took guts. Justin Baldoni took the high road. He knew his career might never recover, but he refused to stoop low. And now, let's talk about just how wild this really is. Bad enough already? Here's where. Things get even messier. Ryan Reynolds was allegedly calling the shots behind the scenes. Reports say Ryan was actually present during key legal meetings between Blake Lively and her legal team. Not only that, but he was allegedly giving direct input on how to paint Baldoni in the media. Actively pulling strings, using his Hollywood influence to twist the narrative in their favor. And remember, the New York Times suddenly picking up the story? Yeah, insiders claim that might be linked to Ryan, too. But now? It's no longer just a PR game. This whole drama is allegedly bleeding into actual entertainment projects. The things we do for love, right? Baldoni's lucky break? He had receipts. Let's be real. Baldoni is unbelievably lucky he documented everything. Hard proof. And a legal juggernaut like Brian Friedman in his corner? Without that, he would have been steamrolled. Because let's face it, if one of Hollywood's biggest stars sets out to turn you into a joke, and you don't have the right people backing you, nobody's going to blink. Imagine being mocked in a Marvel movie. Not because of your acting, not over a role, but just because the lead actor straight up hates your guts. And yet now, Marvel, a studio that hates controversy, finds itself right in the eye of the storm. Marvel's breaking point? Ryan wasn't just dragging them into a lawsuit anymore. He was now stirring up drama in another studio's promotional campaign. If Marvel was already thinking of backing away after the Deadpool mess, this promo skit may have been the final straw. Think about it. If Ryan Reynolds was truly supposed to be one of the main faces of the next MCU phase, why hasn't Marvel publicly stood by him? Not a statement, not a word, not even a half-hearted post. That silence, it says everything. The silence from Marvel is loud. No official response, no PR cleanup, no defense of Ryan at all, and if he really was safe within the Marvel machine. Wouldn't they have said something by now? It's clear. Marvel's stuck, trying to figure out how to fix this train wreck without going down with it. But one thing's undeniable. Ryan's golden boy image? Shattered, Mr. Nice Guy. Dead and buried. People are coming for him, saying he's not the person he pretended to be all these years. And bouncing back from this? Nearly impossible, unless Marvel pulls a last-minute switch and somehow flips this whole mess back on Baldoni. But can they? Do they even have anything left to make that move? Right now, it's not looking good. What do you think? Is Ryan Reynolds finished in Hollywood? Or does he still have a way out? Drop your take in the comments. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into Hollywood's biggest scandals. Hit that notification bell, because what's coming next? You won't want to miss it. The drama's just getting started. See you in the next one.